Welcome to Unscrew the News. It's Bruce Scholl, and this is a special recording with the famous Shawn Buckley from the Health Protection, uh, National Health Products Protection Agency. I apologize for that. The NHPPA.org. I'm so grateful to have you, sir. I've managed to catch you in the process of your journey across Canada. And I just wanted to get a bit of an update so I can then impart that onto my viewers because we are so excited to hear about what's going on. Do you mind just telling us a little bit of the journey so far and where you're at today?
So Bruce, I'd be an honor to share this journey. So today we're in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. We started on October 4th in Victoria, and then we're in Vancouver, Aldergrove, Kelowna, Kamloops, Grand Prairie, Edmonton, Lloydminster, and now Saskatoon. And we're continuing this tour across Canada. And then we're having a group start in Charlottetown and a different group start in Ottawa and a different group start in Whitehorse. And we're all meeting on Parliament Hill on October 25th, and we're presenting the third largest paper petition in Canadian history to MP Blaine Culkins to have him enter that into Parliament as we're trying to get the health charter passed into law. That's what the petition asks for. And the health charter is just there to set out what our health rights are and basically state that the government has to adhere to our basic health rights that through the centuries courts have set as a bare minimum that citizens need to be able to have sovereignty over their lives and make proper health decisions. But we seem to have lost them after hundreds of years. So it sets them out. And when I say lost them, you go to court, a court agrees you have them. You have to argue about it, but a court always agrees you have these rights. They're just basic human rights. But they've got lost in government actions. And we find ourselves having to basically fight for essential nutrients that we need to survive. And what we're doing is because it's illegal in Canada to share success stories, to share truthful health information, we're sharing it. And if I can just share one story that's totally impacted me, we're
Oh
in
my God, yeah.
Grand Prairie. And Bruce, we've got a lady named Karen Peters, who is one of the people brave enough to take the stand and share her story. Well, she was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. And her medical doctor informed her that this was a terminal illness. There is no cure. Basically, you are going to suffer. It's going to get worse and worse. You're going to end up in a wheelchair. She was already having trouble walking, and her hands were twice the size that they should be with the inflammation. But the doctor's saying you're going to end up in a wheelchair, and then this will kill you. It's terminal, and there's nothing we can do. But we can give you drugs to slow down the progression of your illness. Now, can you imagine what that does for you emotionally to
No kidding.
basically be told, okay, you're disabled now and you're going to get worse and worse? She was put on two drugs. Bruce, one of them I think was methotrexate. It's a chemotherapy drug. And apparently, this is very common for rheumatoid arthritis where they'll put you on chemotherapy drugs. So for a full year, she was every week injecting herself with a chemotherapy drug, and she shared, I mean, for 3 or 4 days a week, she basically wished she was dead. She felt
Right.
so awful from these chemotherapy drugs, and this was going to be her lot in life until she died, that she would just get worse and worse and have to be on chemotherapy drugs for rheumatoid arthritis. Well, a friend said, go see a naturopathic doctor. And she was totally resistant because, oh, hey, our health experts are the medical doctors. And if they can't
Yeah.
solve my problem, how dare
White
I,
coats. Yeah.
how dare I go to someone else? So she's actually searching for a naturopathic doctor and found one that was a medical doctor first. So this person was a medical doctor and then they became a naturopathic doctor. And that in her mind gave this person credibility. People should watch this health show. Like on average, naturopathic doctors and traditional Chinese doctors and homeopathic doctors are more trained than the medical doctors.
Right.
But in any event, she goes and sees this naturopathic doctor. And the first thing she tells him is, I have an incurable illness. And the naturopathic doctor, who was a medical doctor, said, well, there is no illness that's incurable. And then he cured her. He cured her with diet, and natural products. And now she's well. She doesn't have the pain. She doesn't have the swelling. She's not injecting herself with chemotherapy drugs. And Bruce, here's the problem is so how many, because like I say, in researching methotrexate, I learned that, well, no, it's a common treatment for rheumatoid arthritis. Chemotherapy drugs are a common treatment for rheumatoid arthritis. So how many Canadians are out there getting injected with chemotherapy drugs that they don't need, that are making them sick and their lives hell, who have rheumatoid arthritis? Is it like
Right.
10,000? Is it 100,000? Is it 500,000? Like how many Canadians out there are losing hope? And this is just one example. But it's illegal for the naturopathic doctor to share her story with you. It's illegal for the manufacturers of the natural remedies to share with you that they're helping people. Health Canada will shut them down. But it's not illegal for us because we're not involved in the industry. We've just
Right.
decided we're sick of this censorship, and we're hoping that by watching the health show, because there's person after person after person sharing their stories, the Canadians can find truth and hope.
Well, that's an amazing story, and I continue to be amazed at the stories. I haven't been able to watch all of it, but I am, tuning in when I can. And I think a lot of Canadians, so far are. I know a lot of my audience are. But I want to continue to put this out there and get more eyeballs on the information. Now, one of the things that I noticed is that uh, if you're over the target, the flack, you're going to get the flack. And you had your first strike recently on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
What else? Yeah, what else are you expecting or have you experienced so far with that?
You know, so first of all, this should be front page news. Think about it, a citizen initiative where basically they've drafted a health law which is completely unobjectionable. Like just Google Charter of Health Freedom. It has its own website. Get a copy. You'll go like, this is crazy good. It's simple. It's clear. It's basically just setting out what the courts say we have, but it does end us having to fight for vital nutrients. Well, that in
Hmm.
itself should be a story. And then the third largest paper petition being presented to Parliament in Canadian history, and you mean the mainstream media isn't following that? And then we've made it a fun story, like we're trying to drive this bus. Today it's on a trailer. We will drive it to the event in Saskatoon today. Hopefully it'll get us there, but that's even kind of symbolic.
Yeah.
It's kind of, we've got this wonderful tour and this health show, the first time in history anywhere in the world where an online health show or any health show is basically highlighting people sharing their health journeys and how they've basically found health and freedom through natural remedies. It should be front page news. And we had a professional journalist who is an editor for a major magazine write our press release. And then we paid a professional service to get it out to all the mainstream media outlets, and it's been crickets. It's been absolutely crickets. Now that speaks volumes, doesn't it? And when
That's
I
the news right there.
well,
That's
that
the
is the
news.
news,
Yeah.
so that's interesting in itself. And, so at the live events, some people, oh, well, it's pharma advertising, it's pharma advertising. Well, that very well could be part of it. But I think more importantly, let's not lose sight of government advertising, because the Canadian government, it's not just that they fund the CBC. The rest of the mainstream media would not be standing the way it is without Canadian government advertising. And it's the Canadian government that's made it illegal for us to treat serious health conditions with anything but synthetic chemicals. It's the Canadian government that then basically has created the marketing machine for these synthetic chemicals, which are the only legal treatments, and that's in the form of our universal government health care. We all know, but for surgery, and there's exceptions, but by and large, if you go to the government health care, you are only going to be offered either surgery or synthetic chemical drugs that are not designed, most of them, to actually cure anything.
Hmm.
They're there to just treat the symptoms of what, in many cases, is now just chronic malnutrition. So here we've got the government of Canada has created this. So they've made the system so our only legal treatments are chemicals. And then they market the chemicals through taxpayer funded healthcare. And then they have Health Canada as the enforcement arm for the pharmaceutical companies, basically hammering down any truthful information. So I use the story of Karen Peters. Again, that
Hmm.
naturopathic doctor can't share that with you. The companies that make the remedies can't share that with you. There is 100%, basically almost 100% censorship of truthful health information. Well, I think it's the government funding of media that probably has more of an impact than pharmaceutical funding, but both shouldn't be allowed when we're in the area of health, and they control basically our entire access to remedies. It's
Well,
illegal
it
in
seems
Canada.
well,
It's
it
illegal
seems
in
like
Canada to treat serious health conditions with natural remedies, even though they're the
right.
most effective, especially for chronic illness.
Well, it just seems like the government is hand in hand with the pharmaceutical. You could call it pharmaceutical, you could call it government, but it's really a cooperation between the two. And the governments have obviously been offered or are on the take of some sort of way. I mean, there is no benefit if you look at it. What's the benefit of them, offering pharmaceutical unless there's some sort of outcome for and I'm not saying that any one person, but it just seems like this is insidious and it's spread
Well,
into all of our governments, right?
it is insidious, and there's huge health consequences, like the number of Canadians that are dying needlessly and the number of Canadians that are suffering needlessly. It's off the charts. And I mean, we haven't even gotten into how our food supply is about as toxic as it can be
Hmm.
without the population reacting and getting angry. And and we have deliberately reduced nutrients in our food supply so that we become chronically sick. It's no secret you need certain nutrients to be healthy. If you don't get them, you're not healthy. We can't get them without supplementing, even if you're
Right.
eating organic, eating raw. So we've created this chronic sickness. But just, Bruce, to address, we don't know why, right? Like, it's easy to jump into, oh, the pharmaceutical companies control government. This has been going on for a long, long time. And I mean, it could be, read our Constitution. The king is the executive, not the federal parliament.
Hmm.
And under our Constitution, there is established a Privy Council office to advise the king on executive matters. Now, by way of convention, we let the federal parliament or cabinet be members of the Privy Council office until they're no longer cabinet members. But we've got this huge monolithic cabinet committee structure that really is responsible for setting policy. It may be that it doesn't matter which government, which party is in power, because there really isn't a whole lot of difference in the policy direction, whether it's liberal or conservative. Just
Right.
conservatives, when they're in power, they're way easier to deal with. So it's kind of like drug policy light instead of heavy under the liberals. So, but the direction's the same. So it might be we need to be looking at the Privy Council office and having a conversation with them and engaging this, this cabinet committee structure that really sets our policy. I don't know the answer, Bruce, but I'm just
Yeah.
trying to make the point. It may not be as simple as, you know, control, but clearly we have rent seeking here. We have undue influence of pharmaceutical companies on Health Canada for sure, for sure.
Okay, I know that you've got to go. I have a couple other quick questions for you. So, can people and are you encouraging people to sign the petition as you're going across the country? And can my online viewers sign that petition? Because I know you said it's a paper petition.
Yeah, well, thank you for that question. So, first of all, if you go to nhppa.org or if you go to charterofhealthfreedom.org, you can get a copy of the paper petition. There's PDFs. You print it off and you sign it and get others to sign it. But even if just you sign it, mail it to us. Now, I get there's a mail strike. So, we're going to
Hmm.
ask MP Blaine Culkins to hold off giving them to the clerk of petitions until we've had the opportunity to get all the ones that are in the mail. So, please, I mean, we're already the third largest paper petition. We're over 150,000 signatures, but we want to get bigger and bigger. So, please sign that petition. There's also on the NHPPA site social media posts you can just grab and repost, because we need to get out of the echo chamber. The mainstream media is not paying attention to us. We're shadow banned. We're restricted by the algorithms. on the social media platforms. It's quite shocking. So we're relying on other people posting us and getting the word out. And we have posters you can print off, just 8.5 by 11, telling about the online health show. Get them, put them in your library, put them in City Hall, put them on telephone poles. We have to share with other Canadians that there's hope, that there's other things they can do. They don't have to be trapped. And we all have to learn about our health policy. I do openings every day, Bruce, 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern time, 7 a.m. Pacific time. And it's almost like a class. So we've got, 3 weeks of classes where I set out censorship. I set out a drug approval policy. Today we were speaking about how science has replaced religion as our belief structure. But now it's become a mechanism of control because you can't argue with truth. Science gives us
Mhm.
truth. But now there are people behind that dictating what the truth is. And we have to get science back working for us again. But the first part is to understand now it's a weapon against us. And I
Right.
mean, we've raised some really interesting points that people need to start thinking about. We're hoping to broaden the conversation and have an honest policy on health once we get to Ottawa.
Okay, I have one other quick question. I know you got to go, but in the process, you're now how many days into this? This is day number 9, 10, something like
Yeah,
that?
and I don't want to rush you, Bruce. So I mean, I'll give you as much time as you need to answer your questions. Well, we started on October 4th, and now it's the
16th
16th.
today. Yeah.
So we're 12 days in. So we're about almost halfway through. We end on Parliament Hill on October 25th. And I invite all of your viewers to come to the Hill. So we've got an event at 1 p.m. on Parliament Hill. And then we've got another event in Bikers Church, I think at 6:30 p.m. because
Okay.
we don't know what the weather's going to be like on the Hill. So, we've got to hedge our bets there. And then just everyone's going to be so excited about having arrived in Ottawa because this is just getting momentum as we go. And we anticipate by the time we get there, there's going to be a lot of Canadians paying attention.
So the question was, so you're halfway through, basically. What was your biggest takeaway so far in in each of the cities that you've stopped in, the people that you've met? I mean, there's obviously when you go on a road trip, you always get something. There's always something that jumps out at you.
So I think there's three things. This first of all, the depth of misunderstanding. Like at the live events, I'm explaining our drug model. I'm explaining how we can't be healthy just eat in our food supply, how that's been captured, and sharing about the censorship. And the censorship just shocks people. Like I use an example, that just shocks people. So people get to understand that they're in a rabbit hole, and they're looking up at a small little hole, and they understand they have to get out. So number one is it's just interesting to see how shocked people are to
Hmm.
learn the truth. Number two is people are becoming really engaged at the live events and making a point of saying, okay, I'm engaged now. And that's really encouraging for us. And then number three is it's just as more people share their stories, and they're positive stories, they'll have a great ending, but it's so clear that they suffered so much before they found a resolution. So it's actually just really driving home the need to ask everyone, share people, get them watching this health show. There's nothing objectionable about it at all. Like
Hmm.
it's we're staying away from all the hot topics. So whether you're right wing, left wing, pro-vax, it doesn't matter. We're not going anywhere
Hmm.
near that. We're just having people share their health journeys and health experts sharing information that you need to know.
I think that's wonderful, and I do appreciate the emphasis on the natural health stores, businesses, and producers, because I did notice that you are obviously reaching out to a lot of them and inviting them, obviously, and their stories, because they need that encouragement to continue doing, because they're providing a vital service to all of us.
Yeah, if I can just follow up on that. So our health food stores, especially like the small ones for sure, 100% of the small stores, and your medium chains. It gets watered down once they start getting bought by the big players, and you're not going to
Mhm.
get this in Walmart. The small health food stores, the independent stores, their staff is trained. You go in there because you got muscle twitches and you heard you need magnesium, or you researched online. Well, you're going to see like shelves of magnesium. Which one do you need? Which is going to work best for you? How much really should you take? Because it's illegal to put on the bottle what's reasonable. So
Right.
you've got to have that trained staff, and you'd be shocked as you watch the health show, just the level of training. And it also just comes out this commitment to help people. Well, we're going to lose that resource if people keep buying at Walmart where they don't have that advice. We're going to lose that resource if people are buying on Amazon. And, spoiler alert, if it's half price, it's not the real product. Um, so we got to protect them. And if people don't understand what a resource they are, they have no reason to protect them. So, Bruce, we're really trying to get that word out because a lot of
Yeah.
Canadians have no idea. And they also think, oh, I'm going to save money at Walmart. Well, maybe you will save a buck or two. But the reality is a lot of these small stores. So, first of all, they'd go out of business if they're selling lines that don't work, and all lines aren't equal. So they're only
Right.
still in business and standing because they've learned from customer feedback. No, this magnesium works, that one doesn't, and then they're not carrying that one anymore. So they're already pre-vetted. You go into a small health food store, they're only alive, they're only in business because they're carrying the best lines that they've learned through experience. Well, most of them are also part of what's called the Health First Network. So it's not the little store buying. They buy as a group of stores, and they also have
Mhm.
their own line, Health First. So don't think you're going to save a whole bunch of money. You may actually spend more money at Walmart or the pharmacy in your supermarket, but it hasn't been vetted. Like, they're not all created equal. So thanks for bringing that up, Bruce, because there was a chain of health food stores in Ottawa that had been around for decades and decades that went under 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And it just made me realize we've got to get the message out, but just
Mm.
what a valuable resource our stores are, and getting people protecting them.
Okay, I have one last question and then I have to go. So, my question to you is you've got other places that the world's greatest health show or the journey is starting from. You said that there was going to be somebody from Quebec and then another one out from the East Coast.
Yeah.
So are
So
they going to be producing something that we can watch? And will it be on the stream as well?
Yeah, so we've got an event in Charlottetown, and then they go to Fredericton, and then they meet us in Ottawa. We got a group in Quebec City having an event, and they're driving to Montreal and having an event, and then Ottawa. So all of those events, they're either going to be live or they're going to be taped and then broadcast on the health show. And sometimes we have a conflict where we have two events at the same time, which is why we
Right.
have to tape. Because
Yeah.
as we get into next week, we're going to have 2 days in French broadcast, I think on the 22nd and the 24th, including likely the broadcast of the movies Epiphany and Tesla's Medicine in French. So, we're really excited because you know, Quebec is so important, and they're passionate about their natural remedies, and they need to be educated. They need to understand what's going on, and be part about demanding proper health policy.
Well, that's awesome. I want to wish you all the best in the rest of your journey. I want to catch up with you in 2 or 3 days if that's
Hmm.
possible. And we do another little update. If you can coordinate with your executive producer there, Teresa, that would
Right.
be wonderful. Um, but I want to wish you all the best and a safe journey. God bless both of you and all of your volunteers. Thank you so much for doing what you're doing. I appreciate it.
Bruce, thank you for doing what you're doing, and God bless you and your audience.
All right. You guys have a fantastic day. Best of luck in Saskatoon. And we will be talking to you very shortly. I'm just going to hit the end of recording. If you don't mind sticking around, I just want to catch up with you before you take off.
Sure.
Okay. Thanks very much. Take care. Bye bye. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining me on Unscrew the News. This has been a special update by Shawn Buckley of the NHPPA.org. and we want to wish them all the best. God bless you all. Stay sane together. Let's keep our head on a swivel. This is Bruce, and I'm out of here.
Thank you so much for watching Unscrew the News. I appreciate your participation in freedom in Canada. Share this information and help others to wake up. God bless.